Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal and I'm on the road again. After a quick turnaround, I'm now on my way to Benji and Judy's for the night, and then Benji and I will go down to Seattle tomorrow. We have some work we need to do. And then we'll be at Vlogger Fair for the weekend, so it's going to be exciting times. Well, I'm hoping to get enough time tonight to actually put up some video for you. But you know, who knows. But it was an amazing experience last night. So I probably will mix these two videos together, bits and pieces, because I want to tell the story and then I'll be able to put clips in of some of the people we met. So first of all, I went downtown to go and meet Douggee at his place downtown. And for some reason, I've never visited his place. It's really amazing. So, but, you know, it was really nice to know he's in a really nice apartment. And, you know, he's got a beautiful view of what we call the North Shore Mountains. This is where you see the snow caps and things like that. So he's got a really great view. And, you know, for all the mothers that are listening, you know, his fridge was well stocked. You know what I mean? You know, he had knives and forks and spoons and everything that he needed. And then he was giving me a tour of his place. And he said, do you notice something? And I'm going, no, honey, have you got new glasses? Going, what did I forget? And then he moved slightly to the side, and what I was looking at, excuse me, I had some raisins just before I left, but what I was looking at was a picture I had painted for him 5 years ago. And he had it in a position where anybody who sat in his living room would see it. Okay, everybody, I've just got to tell you something. I've just come into Douggee's place, and I don't know if you can see this picture, but he's got it, and I just about cried because this was back in December 2011, and I painted it for him. It looks so great there, Douggee, thank you. All right, so you better take that. He was holding up something. Say hi to the peeps.
Hi.
I'm shaking like a leaf now. And he was telling me how many people had asked the story behind it, because not only was it inscribed to him, but it was signed with a single name, which you're going to see because I'm going to put it up in video, which was Sal. And you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to go, whoever did this knew him well. But what I wanted to explain, and I'll put the picture up while I talk about it if I can do that, because, you know, I'm getting so smart, maybe. Oh, won't necessarily be able to do it because I won't have my fancy program with me. But anyway, the picture I painted just reminded me so much of him. First of all, as you know, he has African roots, sometimes called feet. But he has, you know, he comes from Kenya originally. And I found this incredible picture of a lioness. And I loved it. So the important thing is that the lioness, in my view, reminded me of Douggee, because although the eyes are resting you will notice that she's resting her head on a rock that keeps her head up. Now, still more raisins in my teeth. So the reason why that was important was because the reason a lioness would do that is so that although she's resting, if there's ever a reason for her to be alerted, she just has to open her eyes. She doesn't have to open her eyes and lift her head to see what's going on. As you will see in the picture, she just has to open her eyes, and that saves her that split second that could save her life. And the reason it reminded me of Douggee is because Douggee is a very alert person and very smart on so many levels. Oh, forgive me. The tourists are crossing. Welcome. Big tour group. Anyway, so, you know, the fact that he positioned this piece of artwork that I'd done for him where he did, just really touched my soul. So, we ended up sitting and having a small chit chat, but then we didn't want to be late in any way. Okay, I've got to go because this is the border. Now then, where were we? Douggee's place, right? By the way, I yet again stopped in at the Hills gas station. Excuse me, I've just had a candy bar. The caramel stuck around my teeth. Anyway, we're at the Hills gas station in just to the other side of the border. And you've heard me talk about this place before because when you go there, they actually play music that I grew up to. Things like Georgia and The Sea by Bobby Darin, and you know, all the music from from a long time ago. But I love to go there because I know all the words to all the songs. And I was just saying to the owner today, you know, I said, I hope you know that ever since I found you, whenever I come down to Washington, I stop here to fill up with gas, and I stop here to fill up with gas on the way back. So I don't know what you're paying for the music, but it definitely works for a certain age group. And he said, yeah, we know that. So I said, I find myself singing along. He said, well, you're pretty reserved. He said, we have people who actually dance along to the music. And I'm going, wow, isn't that awesome? What a nice way to do business. Okay, so then Douggee and I chit-chatted a while. And then we went down to a place called The Rogue. And I'll put up a picture for you. In downtown Vancouver. And the idea was that, you know, we had reserved seating there to watch the whole thing go down. And the Democrats outside the US type group. Now, it was really interesting because we couldn't get in. They were busy setting it all up, and we needed to wait for an hour because we were, you know, purposely went early. So we ended up going across the street to another pub called Steamboat, I think. Steamworks, that's right, in downtown Vancouver. So we were in Steamworks, and you've got to know that if you bother to talk to the people who sit next to you, you find the most fascinating people. So you know who I am, so you know that I waited to hear that they were obviously quite fun people, so I made a typical, Sal one-liner that had them cracked up. And the next thing we knew, we were in quite serious conversation with them. And Patricia and Jerry, and they, funny enough, were from Washington State, I think Bellingham. And they had actually come to I think almost get out of the States for the election. Not quite sure how that worked, but anyway, it was quite cute. But they were delightful people, such fun. Really, really nice people. So, thank you. If you guys happen to see this video, and I will try and send you the link, if you guys happen to see this video, Dougie and I genuinely enjoyed meeting you. And we laughed a lot, and we, between Jerry and I both being, 3/4 deaf, we did pretty well, I thought, considering. And then our problem was, though, that we did have tickets to be in the other place. So what we did was we stayed a couple of hours with Patricia and Jerry. And by the way, the next people farther down were Judith and Horst, I think. A German name, anyway. And it began with H, so let me think. Hank? No, it wasn't Hank. I think it must have been Horst. Or Hans. Possibly. One of those two, I would think. Because it was a name I knew, and it was definitely Germanic. So we ended up with this sort of sixum going on, but we needed to go across to the other one. But here's what we said to Patricia and Jerry, which is, we're going to leave our drinks here. So hold the table. And if we don't like what's going on over there, we'll come back. But we'll make that decision within 15 to 20 minutes. And then we will let you know. So, so off we go, and we go to the Rogue, and we're sitting in there. And it wasn't a big packed crowd, it was by reservation only, and we had reservations. And so it was very, almost discreet is what I'd like to say. It was just, like you were in a regular restaurant, but you had a lot of televisions going on. And then I noticed that the lady beside me was being interviewed. And by the size of the microphone, I knew that was a local radio station that was doing that interviewing. So that was interesting. So when she'd finished, I said, should I know you? She goes, why? I said, because, you got interviewed. I like to know who I'm sitting next to. It was really cute. So, what a delightful lady. I want to tell you something that she was just so interesting. I was trying to find the right word. Interesting is what she definitely is. Well, you know me, I love interesting people. So, and she had a great sense of humor, so I was happy. Hang on a second. Okay, everybody, this is Georgia.
Hi.
Georgia very kindly put television on for us. Now, look how she's done her poppy. I'm doing this for all my Canadian and Brit viewers. She stuck it through itself. It's not that I'm taking pictures of your left boob. You do understand.
Oh, I know.
Okay, very clever. Very clever. Now then,
Yeah.
do you want to hold this? Okay, because I'm going to show you what I've got with mine. On mine, I've got the tiniest little bit of rubber at the end.
Oh, that's smart.
I am not just a pretty face. It helps if I turn it on. Hi, this is Jerry and Patricia from Bellingham, and Hank and Judith from the from here. Right, and Daddy from Vancouver.